Welcome to Surviving the Side Hustle podcast, the place where expert-based business owners learn how to build momentum, avoid burnout, and create sustainable success on their own terms. I'm your host, Rob Tracy, strength and conditioning specialist turned founder and CEO of Prime Performance Coaching, the personal performance strategy firm for high-achieving business owners and operators. I partner with driven entrepreneurs to implement the Prime Performance process, an awareness-based operating system that's helped me and countless solopreneurs and small business owners evolve from just being high performers on the edge of burnout to prime performers building sustainable success. The impact of Prime Performance process has led me here, where I'll show you how to get unstuck and design your own Prime Performance life without sacrificing your health, relationships, or sanity. So whether you're hustling after hours or scaling your passion project, today and here you're going to get real stories, science-backed strategies, and practical frameworks to help you excel every step of your journey. It's time. Let's get intentional, build momentum, and become prime performers together. We'll get started just after this message. If you're an ambitious business owner or side hustler who's ready for a breakthrough, tired of spinning your wheels, looking to slide past burnout and build real momentum, I'd love to invite you to book a free Prime Performance strategy session with me or one of our strategists. This is your chance to get personalized insight on what's been holding you back and get a clear path to move forward. No fluff, just actionable strategy. So if you're interested, visit survivingthesidehustle.com/free call to request your spot now. Again, that's survivingthesidehustle.com/free call. Looking forward to helping you become a prime performer. What's going on, and welcome back to another episode of Surviving the Side Hustle Friday Recap Edition. So let's kick it off, because this week's conversation wasn't just about communication and it wasn't about business. It was really the perfect blend between alignment, identity, and the conversations you're having with yourself every single day. If you haven't gone check out the full interview yet, I highly encourage you to do just that, because it was with my good friend Vinny Brusco. So let me kick it off by asking you this. Do you actually know what your internal voices sounds like? Or are you just reacting to it without ever really questioning what it's saying? Because most people aren't thinking consciously. They're just repeating patterns, reacting to emotions, and living out these old identities of themselves. And the core idea here is that your thoughts create your identity. Your identity creates your actions, and your actions create your life. So if you don't spend time to examine the thoughts, you don't create change anywhere in your life. One of the first takeaways that I had with that conversation is that alignment isn't comfortable. Vinny said something that really hit hard, and it was that people move away from alignment because of comfort. And that's real, because alignment isn't easy, right? Trying to figure out where you align with life it's uncertainty, there's super uncomfortable, and sometimes it's pretty isolating. But the reality check here is that you're not stuck. You're just choosing comfort over alignment more often than not. Another big takeaway from that conversation is that there's a difference between grinding and being called to something. Vinny said that when you're grinding, it's one thing, but when you're being called to create, to build, or to do something particular, it's different. And you can tell the difference because grinding typically feels like forcing, pushing, draining. While on the other hand, when you're being called to something, it feels more like you're being pulled, you're being energized, and you have that sense of meaning tied to it. And this pairs perfectly with the prime performance principles of clarity and intentionality, because if you don't know what's pulling you, you default to just pushing nonstop. Third lesson that I want to share with you guys from that conversation is that your thoughts are really what is running the show. So if you're sitting there kind of thinking like, okay, well, what do I do? How do I change that? Listen to something that Vinny said on there. He said, he kept talking about this moment when he realized that I'm afraid of what I'm going to think. And he shifted it and flipped it to, you're already thinking it anyways. So letting that settle in, like most people are afraid to sit with their thoughts, afraid to reflect, afraid to slow down. So instead, they distract themselves. And this is another important thing that we talked about too, because distraction is the real problem. Like work all day, hard jobs, and then we come home, we default to Netflix, social media, video games. All this stuff is just constant noise. None of this is like bad, but the problem is they keep you from facing yourself. So if you can't sit in silence, you're not in control of your life. You're just reacting and just living life as an NPC. Another important takeaway was that life comes in waves. I talk about this a lot in different seasons of our lives, but in the conversation with Vinny, he shared how it's a perfect analogy because you can catch the wave, you can ride it, it crashes, and then that's life. But the skill here is trying to not avoiding the crash. It's how quickly can you reset? How well do you sit in the discomfort? And how intentionally you become when you start choosing the next wave. Hey, sorry for the interruption. It's me, Rob, and I hope you're enjoying today's conversation. But I wanted to remind you, if you're a driven entrepreneur or an expert-based business owner who wants to get unstuck, create sustainable momentum, and really start moving forward, I've got a free resource just for you. You can download my 5 keys to clarity and momentum. It's a PDF guide. It's a quick read, and it'll help you cut through the noise, clarify your next steps, and start building the systems that you need for sustainable success. So if you're new here, or if you haven't grabbed it yet, this is the first step to applying these principles in your own journey. So head over to survivingthesidehustle.com/5 keys and download your free copy today. Again, that's survivingthesidehustle.com/5 keys. And considering like what Vinny always said was like, we'll figure it out. And he says that is his superpower because it's confidence, not ignorance or not avoidance, but he's confident that he'll figure this out and he'll work through it. He's confident that he's resilient enough to handle those. And an entrepreneurial truth here is you're never truly fully ready. You're never fully certain that you're making the right decisions. But the people who end up winning in this game of entrepreneurship, they are the ones who trust themselves enough to just figure it out and they can roll with the punches. And a lot of people tend to get stuck here because Vinny said it, you sometimes have to break the identity of who you were. And that's uncomfortable because your old identity feels safe. That's who you are. It's familiar and it feels like you. And sometimes growth requires that identity change. I talked about that a lot with the principle around clarity, about stepping into who you need to become next and how that becomes a key into achieving success. Another huge thing that we talked about in that conversation is energy is your form of currency. This part, it might be subtle, but it's very powerful. Vinny was talking about how everything is an energy exchange, such as like what you watch, who you talk to, and what you consume. So the translation here is like, if you're constantly drained, distracted, overwhelmed, it's not your schedule. It's your energy leaks. Doing a little bit of an audit to see where you're leaking a lot of your energy and motivation can help you make better decisions down the road. Because when you're more aware and you perform more of these audits, you're more resilient. And to be honest, you're more resilient than you think. There was a big reflection point for Vinny when he said, I can hold my breath longer than I thought. And that's true for everybody here too. Obviously not just holding your breath like literally, but also in hard times. Like we often go through these hardships or hard experiences and default to panic and worrying, but you can hold your breath longer than you think. Like you're going to be okay. And here's your reminder too. He was talking a lot about jujitsu and such, but you haven't tapped out because you're weak. You tap out because you haven't tested yourself enough. And to be honest, you go through these challenges every single day. So here's what I want you guys thinking about going into the weekend for next week. Think about, where are you currently? Where are you avoiding your own thoughts? Where are you choosing comfort over alignment? And where are you distracting instead of reflecting? Because at the end of the day, this isn't just about business success or productivity. It's about who you're becoming and whether or not you're actually paying attention. So remember to reflect more, challenge your thoughts, lean into the discomfort, because that's how you build real momentum. That's it for Surviving the Side Hustle this week. Talk to you guys later. Peace, 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 peace. That's all for today's episode of Surviving the Side Hustle. If you found value here, please don't forget to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you're listening from. And please create a shared success by helping us share this episode with someone who you think would benefit from today's conversation. And finally, don't forget to connect with us at survivingthesidehustle.com and give us a follow on socials so that we can take part in following along in your entrepreneurial journey. Until next time, remember, success doesn't require a complete sacrifice, just strategy, momentum, and the right support.